What's up, it's Marco back on the Stage Soccer channel, and today I'm talking about what I do for the USMNT National Team World Cup qualifying roster. Man, we got a really strong team. There were some tough decisions that I had to make, and yeah. I'm just going to throw out there that I'm doing this with a 23-man squad. I know that we can go over, and I'll probably go over with some players who are kind of uncertain due to injury, but just so I can make it like an actual decision, I'll go with the 23-man squad. And yeah, man, starting really interesting. I'm just going to say goalkeepers. Get that out of the way. Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, Ethan Horvath. They're all locks. Not much to say there. Then going into the center back situation, and yeah, there are some tough decisions to make. I think that at this point, John Brooks is a lock, as well as Miles Robinson after his performance in the Gold Cup. But aside from that, there are some pretty tough decisions to make. Right now, at the moment, I feel like Walker Zimmerman is behind Tim Ream, so I don't feel like Walker Zimmerman's going to make the squad. Aaron Long's still injured. I feel like James Sands was a bit too shaky in a back four to call up, but if we're going with a back five, he would be a good option, but I'm not going to go with him this time. Mark Mckenzie seems to be ahead of Matt Miaska, and I really feel like Mark Mckenzie will make this team. He was really preferred in that Nations League and the friendlies leading up to that, and while he had a couple of shaky games, he got better as time went on, and man, I really like Mark Mckenzie in that spot. He has a very good chance to start for the team. On the bubble, I really feel like it's Chris Richards, Tim Ream, and Matt Miaska. Chris Richards, obviously the most talented player, great for Bayern Munich. Tim Ream's got a lot of experience and I guess versatility, but he got kind of burned last time we played him at left back, so I'm not too sure about that anymore. And then Matt Miaska, who's another solid option. So, especially because Tim Ream seems to have picked up an injury recently, and Matt Miaska hasn't played at all, I'm going to go with Chris Richards. I know he hasn't been playing much for Bayern, but he did get a couple minutes recently. He's playing all throughout the preseason, and honestly, he's just got so much talent. We need to start getting him experience, and I really feel like there's no excuse to not call Chris Richards at this point. Now on to fullback. The only lock is Serginho Dest, but it's still up in the air a little bit because we don't even know what side we prefer him on. Then left back, I feel like Anthony Robinson. He's been in great form, and yeah, Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson really have to make the squad. Now comes the question of whether you want to have two left backs in this team, or if you just go with three right backs. Because Sam Vines is probably the backup left back at the moment, on the depth chart at least, beating out George Bello for that spot. But and the right back group is very good with Reggie Cannon, DeAndre Yedlin, Brian Reynolds, and Shaq Moore. And I feel like they're all probably better than Sam Vines at the moment. And because of that, I really feel like we should be taking three right backs, especially because Serginho Dest seems to be the backup left back at Barca. And we don't even really know if he's going to be playing on the right. He's been very good for us on both sides. I do want to mention Joe Scaley. I feel like he just isn't quite ready yet, especially in like a CONCACAF game where and he didn't have the greatest weekend, but he's somebody you got to throw in consideration. So first we got DeAndre Yedlin. He brings a lot of athleticism and some experience that you want in a defender. He did start in that Nations League final, and he's a very solid player. He's been getting some time for Galatasaray. Very good option for us. Next we got Reggie Cannon. He seemed to have been the second choice for a while, but DeAndre Yedlin might have overtaken him in the Nations League, and Shaq Moore might have got ahead of him. And then right now, Reggie Cannon hasn't been playing at all because he's wanting to get that move away from Boavista. He had that injury in the Gold Cup, so he wasn't playing much there. Then you got Brian Reynolds. He's been second choice at Roma. That's what he is right now, but he was getting a lot of playing time during preseason, and he's still that very good player. Like, Roma bought him for a reason. He's a very solid option. And lastly, Shaq Moore, who just had an amazing Gold Cup, player of the tournament. I do think like he got a little bit worse as the tournament went on, but he's still a very good player and a very good option for us. So out of them, just because of the experience and the athleticism and playing time, I really feel like DeAndre Yedlin should be in this team. He's a great player, and I really want him in this squad. And lastly, we got Shaq Moore, Brian Reynolds, and Reggie Cannon. And of those two, I feel like Brian Reynolds is probably the hardest guy I see getting into the team. He doesn't have as much experience. He's not playing full-time at the moment. And though I feel like that experience thing is a bad excuse because we've only got World Cup qualifiers left, and people have done well in like trials by fire, so I feel like that's not a good excuse, but that is a reason why you don't want Brian Reynolds in this team. And then with Shaq Moore and Reggie Cannon, I mean, like, as hard as it is to say, Shaq Moore just outplayed Reggie Cannon during the tournament. So, despite Reggie Cannon's talent, and he seems like he's got a pretty good move coming up for him, and Shaq Moore not being at the greatest club at the moment, I feel like you got to bring Shaq Moore into this team. He performed great against CONCACAF opposition, and yeah, great player, and he took his opportunity and ran with it. We're going to talk about that a bit more later, but man, that's why you got to get as much playing time as you can, because when that opportunity comes, man, it's there. Next on to the midfield. I feel like Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, they're locks. They're going to start. Not much to talk about there. Yunus Musa would be in this team, but he's just coming back from an injury, so I'm not going to include him in the 23. I don't feel like he'll be called up, but he's obviously in the squad if he's healthy. Next up, Kellen Acosta. He won me over as a defensive option. Honestly, with Kellen Acosta, I was pretty high on him when he just broke into the scene back in 2015, 2016. But as time went on, I kind of got more sour on him. I don't feel like his technical abilities up to the rest of the team's level. But, man, he is a very good defensive player. And if we want if we're up 1-0 at the end of a game, I want to bring on Kellen Acosta because he's just such a good option defensively. And also, he seems to be a great leader on the field. I think he wore the captain's armband a little bit. No, he declined the captain's armband and gave it to Matt Turner. And he is always in those fights. He had that great penalty thing. And, man, I really want to see Kellen Acosta in this team now. Next, I think Gianluca Busio should be in the squad. While I didn't have the greatest Gold Cup, I am kind of interested to see how he can do when he's playing with players who are on his level technically, because you can't really string a bunch of passes together when you've got players a bit beneath your level playing there, which sounds harsh, but I mean, he's a very good player, and I want to see him playing with very good players as well. Also, in the Gold Cup, he showed a defensive ability that I really didn't know he had. So I really want him. He's a very good option at the 8, at the 6 as well. I feel like he should be in this team. Next, I feel like Julian Green should be recalled. Has been out of the team for a while, but he's a Bundesliga starter now, and he deserves respect. He brings a lot of creativity to the field. He's good in an advanced position, and a very good option off of set piece. And we have to remember, he's an experienced player. We don't have many players with World Cup experience, so that's got to be remembered. And Julian Green, he's been working his way up, and I feel like we need to reward him with a spot. So now we got one last spot on this midfield, and I feel like it should be an 8, so I'm not going to consider James Sands, who would be more of a 6 option. And keep in mind that this might not even be a spot, because Gio Reyna could play in the midfield, Brendan Aronson could play in the midfield. So for the 6th spot, I think Caden Clark, Owen Adewasai, and Tanner Tessman still need some more development, though probably Caden Clark could be in this team and might be just as good as the other options. But I feel like just give him a bit more time to develop at Red Bull. Then Christian Roldan and Jackson Ewell, I don't feel like they should be considered at this point. I feel like we're a bit past them. And I don't feel like Eric Williamson brings enough to get into the lineup. Just not enough technically, not enough defensively. I don't feel like he does one thing that's better than anybody else on the team. That is tough with Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. But I feel like it comes down to Luca De La Torre and Sebastian Lletget, I should say. Now, this will be legit, but I want to have this conversation. Because I feel like Sebastian Lletget, his strength is in the final third, where he's always a threat to score. He's a very good passer, but at the same time, he's not a very good player in possession. I've been watching this team for a while with him, and we have never just dominated a game where we've got Sebastian Lletget in the midfield. And that can really hurt the team, because you have to keep possession against these teams. And one misplaced pass against them, there are some very good attacks in CONCACAF, and I'm not too sure if I would want Sebastian Lletget in this team. Then you have Luca De La Torre, who is a very good player. He actually declined a Gold Cup call that I feel like would have boosted him into the squad guaranteed. But just going through his strengths, he's a great player with the ball at his feet and in possession. He was very good at just playing triangles around with players. He can take on somebody, and I feel like he's a very good option that I want in this team. But how much of a difference is it between him and Sebastian Lletget? I feel like Luca De La Torre is the better player, but not by too much. And then you have to look at, this is like a 6th midfield option that probably wouldn't even be here if Yunus Musa was in the squad. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I should putting this in because we've got a very good attack, and I feel like Gio Reyna should be in the midfield, but I'm doing it anyway, and I feel like you have to go with legit because, I'd rather have a guy who seems to be there to set the culture. He's given the captain's armband. He seems to be a very good leader for the team. I'm not in the locker room, I don't know. But I'd rather have that in the team, especially when we're getting rid of Tim Ream, than a guy who declined to call up. Which, that might seem pretty harsh, but you see all what Shaq Moore did with that call up, and I really feel like Lou De La Torre should have accepted. And, yeah, you can disagree, but hey, that's my feeling. Lastly, there's the attack, and I wanted to just do that as an attack altogether, not wingers and strikers, because we got so many people who are just really versatile. So, obviously, Christian Pulisic would normally be the first name on the team sheet, but with him having the virus, I don't feel like he'll be available for the first game, so I'm going to leave him off the 23. He will still be in the squad, obviously, and hopefully back for the Canada game. Man, if we get to see him go against Alphonso Davies, that'd be great. But, yeah, I don't think he's going to be available for the first game, so I'm not going to include him in the 23. But he will be in the team. He will be starting, at least in the last game. So for the wingers, I feel like Gio Reyna is the other lock for the team. He's obviously going to be in. And I feel like Brenden Aaronson has been doing very well lately, so I feel like he's going to replace Pulisic in the starting lineup for the El Salvador game. Up top, Josh Chardon and Jordan Siebatcheu or PFUC are going to be in the team. This is part due to their ability and part because Daryl Dike and Yazi Zardes are hurt, and process of elimination, we want to have two proven strikers. Josh Chardon and Jordan Siebatcheu are in. Now, there are two spots left for some very quality players. I want to mention Cade Cowell and Nicola Giacchini. I feel like they both need to develop a little bit further before you include them in this team, just because of how deep it is. But they're two good options. So I feel like there are two spots for Tim Weah, Matthew Hoppe, Conrad de la Fuente, and Ricardo Pepe. Hopefully all of them make the real roster, because you want all of them in the team. But for this, I guess, exercise, we're making it into a 23. I think Tim Weah is the first name that gets dropped. While he is starting for Lille at the moment, he really hasn't performed that well, and in the national team shirt, he hasn't been that impressive. I know he's working back from injury, and there's probably like a little bit of mental hesitation for him, but I just haven't been that impressed with him, and with how crucial the attack is for this team, I think you can't bring him into the squad. Next, for those other three, I feel like Matthew Hoppe has to be the guy you go with first. He played great in the Gold Cup. He got the versatility to play up front and out wide. And I love what he brings to the field just with his intensity. And, man, he's a great player. Hopefully he gets a big move soon. And, yeah, I got to go with Matthew Hoppe. For the last spot, we have Ricardo Pepe and Conrad de la Fuente. Conrad's been in great form for Marseille, and is probably a very dangerous option off the bench. He can take on players, and his end product has been very good with Marseille. So I feel like he's definitely somebody we have to consider. Then Ricardo Pepe, he's also been in great form for FC Dallas, and honestly, he has a chance to start for this national team. And then there's the other caveat of the interest in Mexico has in Ricardo Pepe. And because of that, I feel like you have to take Ricardo Pepe, because, man, he's such a talented striker, and striker's not a position that we have like locked down at the moment. You have to bring Pepe because he's too big of a risk to not bring him. Which it sucks for Conrad, but I mean, cap tying Pepe has to be a priority. I mean, like winger, like we got Pulisic, we got Reyna, we got Aaronson, Hoppe. We're dropping Tim Weah from this team. Like, it's not that much of a concern. And then up top, I mean, Josh Sargent, I like him. Jordan Siebatcheu, I like him, but man, if Pepe can really develop, take that next step, become a great player, that's too crucial an option. And not even just us having Pepe, Mexico not having Pepe, because he could be a thorn in our side for years to come. So, yeah, it sucks for Conrad, but man, I feel like we got to go with Ricardo Pepe. So, there's the squad I have. What I'd like to bring, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, Ethan Horvath in goal. At center back, John Brooks, Miles Robinson, Mark Mckenzie, Chris Richards. At fullback, Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, DeAndre Edlin, Shaq Moore. At midfield, West McKinney, Tyler Adams, Kellen Acosta, Sebastian Lletget, Julian Green, and John Luc Gio Reyna, Brenden Aaronson, Matthew Hoppe, Josh Sargent, Jordan Siebatcheu or PFUC, and Ricardo Pepe in attack, with Yunus Musa and Christian Pulisic probably in the squad, but just because they're injured at the moment, I don't feel like really having them in. So yeah, that's what I have for the national team squad. hey, if you want to stick around, I'm probably going to do a reaction to the actual team that comes out. I can guarantee it's going to be very different. But yeah, I wanted to put this out. What I feel like is the best 23 we have at the moment. Man, we got a very good squad. I'm just looking at this midfield, and it's so much better than it was in years before. Especially if we can drop Gio Reyna into the midfield. We have McKinney, Adams, Reyna up front. We could have Aronson or Pulisic. I really want Conrad on this team. I really hope that we expand the squad enough to make it, because he's been great. And hopefully we get to see Chris Richards in action, because it's been so long without him. And yeah, I'm really excited for these World Cup qualifying games. Hoping they go well. That's all I've talked about today. I'll see you.